I keep mentioning TORCS in my other videos, so I figure I might as well do a playthrough of it. TORCS is an open source freeware racing simulator. It was originally developed in 2001, so it's already starting to look a little bit outdated. But the graphics were recently upgraded in version 1.3.7, and now it's pretty modern. I mean, it's not immaculate, but it's pretty good. So you select your player. This is how it works. Very simple, old-fashioned interface. I'm actually going to drive a Peugeot 406, which is almost a joke car to many people. The way they've simulated it in this game, though, it's a very, very nice drift racer, actually. I don't know if you can actually get those kinds of results with a real one, but it drives very nicely in this game. Anyway, you have all these choices of Crick Race, John Championship Race, Championship, and so on. I'm only going to do a practice run. The main drawback of this simulator is that it's not multiplayer, which nowadays is sort of a non-starter. I'll explain this in a later video of what people have done about this. So they've given it Gulf Oil livery from the 1960s, which makes it even sillier. I think maybe they put this car in here just for laughs, you know. But it's not a car that has laughable driving characteristics. I really enjoy this simulation of this car, whether it's realistic or not. Some of the vintage racers they have in TORCS are really much too fast for the real thing. I mean, they're not realistic, but this one, it tops out around 220 kilometers per hour, which seems plausible for 406. I don't know actually what they're usually able to do when you race prep them. So you can see my driving's a little bit sloppy, which also helps me. It's good to have a slow car. Put it through the first drift there. And again. It's only front-wheel drive, but you can throw it around pretty well. I've actually read a number of reviews of the real car where people say it's a very nice used car to have for fun, basically. A lot of them are diesel, actually. This chicane is quite difficult. The track is actually Monza. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier. They call it Forza in TORCS. Many of the names of the tracks have been changed for whatever reason, copyright reasons, or so that they can tweak them a little bit for the game to make them more compatible. Some of the real names, but a lot of them are not. This is definitely Monza. You can tell from the shape. And like the real Monza, it's pretty fast, actually. You can get this car up to top speed on it, that's for sure. As I've said before, I've been thinking of developing cars for this as an experiment, or maybe for practice, until I can get Redline working again. So I'm thinking of putting the Chevy Vega in this game, possibly. We'll have to see how that goes. It would be a pretty good practice car. I mean, it would have many of the same advantages as this car, actually. So, as you can see, this is a pretty easy car to drive, and I think it's fun. And I really like the graphics on this track, because there is an alternative version of TORCS called Speed Dreams, which has a version of this track on it, and it looks as good or not as good, and the frame rate is absolutely horrible on it. They've done something wrong, either too many polys or bad choice of textures, something, and it's really hard to get it to work. I've had to work a lot on that just to get it ready for a subsequent playthrough I'm going to do after this one. And as you'll see, it's actually newer, but not as good a simulator as this one. partly because TORCS has been upgraded a great deal since Speed Dreams was originally developed. Put it in another drift. I'm way out of practice on even simulated driving, so my driving on this playthrough is really sloppy by my standards. It's a good thing I had the slow car. So one more lap. So far, it's more or less performing consistently. In this stretch, it's possible to get a lot of the cars up to top speed. Not the very fastest ones, but many of them. That sound, as far as I know, is not a real 406 because it's used on a lot of the other cars, which have V8 engines and other engines that don't sound anything like that, but it wouldn't surprise me if a 406 sounded something like this. It's basically a four-door sedan usually without a very powerful engine. One reviewer said he loved it because he was unlikely to get speeding tickets with it because he couldn't get it to go fast enough. But I think he had the diesel. I could be wrong about that. And he also had one that was not in very good condition, to say the least. So here I'm starting to lose my concentration and strain a little bit, you can see. My race lines through that chicane are not relearned yet. I have not figured that out again. Well, for some reason I had this frame rate problem towards the end, but luckily it was on the home stretch. And so there are my times. Not very fast, but not a very fast car. And I had a lot of fun making this playthrough. So, I'm gonna make another one, and I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.